You're watching Local 4, home of clickondetroit.com. WTIV Local 4 News at 11 starts now.
A rollover crash, and police say the driver had a blood alcohol level of nearly 4 times the legal limit. That man is blamed for causing the crash late this afternoon that sent 2 people to the hospital with serious injuries.
This is a story you'll only see on Local 4. Reporter Bora Kim is at Sinai Grace Hospital tonight, where the victims are being treated. Bora?
Yes, BC, those 2 passengers are still here at the hospital right behind me, and at last check, they were listed in serious condition. Now, Detroit police also telling me tonight that the driver's still in their custody, charged with drinking and driving, and for the 2 forced to crash into this minivan, well, they tell us that their first instinct was to rush to the aid of the injured.
My first thing was please don't let nobody be hurt.
There was no time to play the victims. Their first reaction was to assist the 4 passengers trapped inside.
We put the car in park right there where it was and made sure everybody, jumped out and see what they was all right, see what we could do.
I was trying to help them.
Help for the passengers and driver who McBride says caused the accident. It happened around 3 p.m. at the busy intersection of Orange Lawn and Evergreen. The minivan traveling at an incredibly high rate of speed.
A van came just like 60 or 70.
Boom, bam, boom.
We tried to stop it before it happened. It was too late.
Police arrested the driver when his sobriety test revealed he had a blood alcohol level of .297, 4 times the legal limit. Many could smell the alcohol coming from the vehicle as an officer collected an open container that had flown out from the vehicle.
Yeah, they blew it like it wasn't even there at all. They went straight through the stop sign.
The duo going as far as breaking the windshield to help free the male and female passengers couldn't rescue the other. They waited for the emergency crews to arrive.
The other one we couldn't get out because he was stuck on the bottom. He was like sandwiched. We couldn't get to him.
And back out here live, you may have noticed that along with an open container, an Easter basket had also flown out of that car. That caused quite a scare with many folks in that neighborhood because they initially thought that there were children, of course, inside of that minivan. That was not the case. All adults here. And again, 2 passengers still remain here at Sinai Grace Hospital, and that driver in jail tonight. Reporting from Detroit's West Side, Bora Kim, Local 4.
Now, Pastor Terry Jones' visit to Dearborn was controversial and costly. And if he returns to Dearborn this week as planned, how much is the increased security and legal representation costing the city and Wayne County? Local 4 defender Hank Winchester has been looking at some numbers tonight. He joins us live from Dearborn. Hank?
Steve, good evening. We are talking about thousands of dollars. The numbers all laid out in these documents obtained by the defenders, and those numbers expected to rise this week. Here's why. Pastor Terry Jones making his way to Dearborn on Friday, planning his protest right here at City Hall. The numbers right here in black and white. Police, $31,000. Helicopter, $6,000. A command post, $750. The list goes on and on. The total, $46,351.98. That is an estimate of the money spent last week by Dearborn police. Extra security was needed to keep everyone safe while Pastor Terry Jones prepared to protest in front of the Islamic Center of America in Dearborn. Because of the legal battle last week, Jones spent most of his time in a courtroom. But the barricades were up, police were ready, and behind the scenes, thousands of dollars being spent. And now get ready for round 2, another visit and a new legal battle.
Yeah, they have violated our civil rights, our freedom of speech rights. We are going to make no qualms about it. We are going to go after them with every single thing we can.
Besides the money spent on security, the city and the county will also be spending thousands and using lots of manpower as this legal battle enters a new phase. Pastor Jones has hired local attorneys and has now filed suit against the city and the county. He claims his First Amendment rights have been violated. The protest again scheduled for this coming Friday, and the city and the county will have no choice but to spend big money again to make sure everyone is prepared.
At this point, you want to make sure that nothing happens because a lot of the world's watching, unfortunately, because of his previous action of burning the Quran. So I think it's important to say we're standing behind the community. It was great to see the religious and community leaders get together in the past.
Good. And barricades will have to be placed around City Hall. Remember, City Hall here in Dearborn, located right on very busy Michigan Avenue. Pastor Terry Jones says he's going to make his way to Metro Detroit Thursday afternoon. That protest, though, scheduled here at City Hall, 5 o'clock on Friday. We're live in Dearborn tonight. Hank Winchester, Local 4 Defenders, back to you.
A scare in the air tonight when a passenger reportedly attacks a flight attendant on an international flight. This happened on a flight from Paris, France to Rome, Italy, and according to the airlines, the agitated passenger pulled a nail clipper on that flight attendant and demanded the plane be diverted to Tripoli, Libya. That's when other flight attendants subdued the man. As planned, the flight landed safely in Rome. Police took that man into custody for questioning. The flight attendants were not hurt. The Italian news agency says the passenger was a middle-aged man from Kazakhstan, but the man's motives are not known. Less than 48 hours after a massive tornado tore through the airport in St. Louis, Missouri is back up and running tonight, almost at normal capacity. In fact, only 3 flights out of several dozen to and from Detroit had to be canceled today. The tornado was caught on surveillance cameras. The Category F4 twister ripped the roof off a terminal at Lambert International Airport. It will take months to repair. Homes and businesses were also destroyed. People say it's a miracle no one was killed.
Boy, it really is. Nothing severe for us, but let's get a look at your first forecast because things are changing.
Yeah, in fact, you can plan on rain almost every day this week.
Yep.
Local forecaster Brandon Rue joins us now with the soggy details. Brandon?
We're talking about several inches of fresh rain coming our way through Wednesday and Thursday, and a little bit each day, sometimes a lot on certain days. Tonight's our radar is a little bit oversensitive. You see these light blue returns. I checked all of the hourly observations, no one reporting rain. So here's what we're going with overnight. Just cloudy, those clouds keeping temperatures mild, 48 degrees for a low temperature. Our sunrise tomorrow at 6:38. We look down south. We've been watching this for days and days. Flooding rains and strong to severe storms along a stationary front. This front, just over the last several hours, has started to push further north. This moisture, these storms coming our way. I'll tell you again how much to expect and when we expect to see the strongest storms here. That's all coming up.
All right, Brandon, and of course, wake up with the Local 4 morning team tomorrow starting at 4:30 a.m. for the very latest traffic and weather conditions, which will be changing throughout the morning. New tonight, a falling object sends a car through a fence and sends a driver on the run. The accident happened on Woodward in Detroit. Witnesses tell us a car was driving behind a truck that was hauling some materials and something fell out of the back of the truck. That car swerved to avoid the object, drove onto the sidewalk, hit several parked cars, and crashed through a fence. The driver of that car then hopped out and ran from the scene. Police are now looking for that driver.
The Sheriff's Department in Macomb County is still investigating a deadly boat accident last night on Lake St. Clair. 2 men were in an 18-foot boat near Metro Beach Metro Park when the boat capsized. 37-year-old Hassan Randall from East Point was killed. A 48-year-old man was treated for hypothermia at the hospital. The Coast Guard says both men were wearing life jackets. Friends and family gathered today to honor a Kalamazoo police officer killed in the line of duty. Officer Eric Zapata was shot to death last Monday night by a man who later killed himself. Visitation continues tomorrow at Langeland Funeral Home in Kalamazoo. The funeral is planned for Tuesday, followed by a private burial on Wednesday.
A popular East Point restaurant damaged beyond recognition after a devastating fire. Happened early this morning. Flames gutted Legends Coney Island on 9 Mile, just south of Kelly. Now you're looking at viewer video of that fire, and it was a big one. It took nearly 5 hours for firefighters to put those flames out. Nobody was inside the restaurant at the time.
We had heavy smoke showing when we arrived on the scene, and we made a quick entry to take a look. And then I pulled everybody out. We called the second alarm, and we went to a defensive mode on the fire.
For sure, we'll be rebuilding and staying in this community for a long time.
Now, it could be days before investigators can get back inside to determine the cause of that fire. Tens of thousands of SUVs being recalled because of potentially serious problems caused by cold weather.
We'll show you just what's affected. Plus, the countdown is on to the royal wedding, and some invited guests have people talking tonight. We've got you all covered.
But up first, a local woman shares her rags to riches story, and she says you can strike it rich too. Find out how. That's next. Want to be a business success? One local woman says the key is to stay out of your own way. I want you to meet a widowed woman fleeing Vietnam 31 years ago on a boat with her sister, 2 children, and an unborn daughter. The woman gave birth during her journey. Never a moment to recuperate from childbirth, or she'd miss her safe passage.
Now take a look at this picture. It's 31 years later, and the baby girl born on the way to the United States is sitting on top of her own empire and says you can too. Paula Tutman has the story from Royal Oak.
You're looking at power in a pump.
Yeah, I'm glad we extended our hours on Sunday to 8 o'clock. That was smart.
Turn that shoe into a pink pump and that power explodes. The brainchild of 31-year-old Tawny Thieu, who's turned extremely humble beginnings into a $3 million empire.
Our pink pump, private label clothing, accounts for about 80% of our sales now.
Her life story reads like the classic American dream. Born halfway en route to the U.S. As her mother fled Vietnam, the family only had $25 between them.
She picked up the newborn and kept going. There was no pausing. She would have lost her ticket. So we just got on the ship. She hoped they didn't notice me and didn't make her pay another ticket. They didn't, and she took me right along.
But there was a lesson in there for Tawny. Only you can let circumstances get in your own way.
When you don't have anything, you have nothing to lose.
Growing up poor, she turned a dislike for secondhand clothes from her sisters and an early love for shoes and fashion into a 6-property empire. The Pink Pump, with stores in Ann Arbor, Birmingham, Bloomfield Hills, and Royal Oak, and in the worst possible economic times, has opened another store across the street in Royal Oak, P2.
You got the lights, Kelly?
This is really cute stuff. Women may not need, but love to buy. She says step 1 to success, find something you love and then find a way to sell it. For her, it was belts for $9.99, dreamy, sexy platforms, hundreds of dollars in New York, $30 here, and they are not knockoffs. Funky clothes for all ages.
I have women come up to me all the time and say, hey, I bought a whole outfit and it was under $200. I looked great at my event, and that feels really good because I know what it's like to have a budget but still want to look good.
Before she got her business plan, she got her family to buy in, a critical step. If you have children, she says, allow them to contribute something.
I watched my mother, because I was the youngest and she couldn't afford daycare. She would take me to classes with her. I'd sit in the corner, I'd draw, and I'd keep myself busy. But what she didn't know was I was watching her. And I watched her struggle to learn the language. I watched her try to interact with other people, strangers, people she never knew, a place she didn't know. And that really showed me.
Learn how to write a solid business plan. The Small Business Administration is a great resource.
They have tremendous resources to help any individual who wants to start a business but doesn't know how. They will walk you through all the steps. They have great mentors.
Work on your history starting now. Credit history, purchase history, bill paying history. Every dollar you don't spend now goes towards starting your own business tomorrow. But equally important, she says, find someone who's doing what you want to do and work for them, starting anywhere they put you so you can watch how things work from the inside.
The hands-on experience showed me what the market was looking for, where I could open up, and it let me know hands-on that this is this is an industry that has room for more growth and that I can still come in and there are no barriers.
Today she has 50 employees, all watching her.
You learn a lot from her conversations from people, her daily interactions with her other employees. Very insightful.
And Tawny's employees will tell you while she's hands-on, she's not a control freak. She's a person who's built a life from refugee to riches.
When I was able to buy my mom a new car, that felt amazing. So to me, that was success versus going out and buying myself something.
And a big secret to success, relish in the art of being underestimated.
I can honestly say that sometimes people think, oh, you're just a little girl, you're just playing, you know, you like shoes, you like clothes. They don't really think of it as a business.
So what do you do when you're underestimated? Use it to your advantage, of course. Tomorrow morning at 6:15, we actually sit down live with Tawny Thieu, and she'll explain the power of underestimation and how it could very possibly work for you too. We'll see you early tomorrow morning. Back to you.
What a great inspiration. I was taking my notes. Well, here's a look at what we're working on for you tomorrow night at 11.
What do your children know about good secrets versus bad secrets?
I don't want children to have to go through what I went through without having a way of communicating.
A Detroit woman shares her story to help parents tackle tough to talk about topics. Tomorrow at 11, how her words can keep your children or the children in your life safe.
Tens of thousands of Nissan SUVs are recalled in Michigan and other cold weather states. Vehicles affected, 195,000 Pathfinders, model years 1996 to 2004, and the Infiniti QX4, model years 1997 to 2003. Nissan says rust could cause the steering column to break, and that could cause a crash. Owners will be notified by mail next month, and for more information, you can always go to the consumer page at clickondetroit.com.
Pope Benedict celebrated Easter Mass today in St. Peter's Square. About 100,000 people gathered to worship and listen to his message. The Pope called for peace in Libya and the Middle East and an end to hate and violence. President Obama and his family attended